What's happening, guys? Happy Thursday and welcome to the Fabulous Big Bet Podcast, division of the DWZ Sports Network. It is your host, Memphis, and you can find me on Twitter at DWZ Memphis. And I'm not here alone. I'm the man with all the injury news, I should say. He is Dr. Kyle. Man, there's so much. It's got me off my game, man. How have you been hanging in there with all these injuries to your lineups and your dynasty rosters?
Hold on 1 second, Memphis. Okay, yeah, I'm officially done putting guys on the IR. I've been doing it since Sunday. Yeah, what a week! An absolute bloodbath out there, and the jury is still out. Is that going to be the only week we see that bad, or is this just going to keep rolling through this odd season? But man, did me and Maddie have a lot to talk about on the YouTube channel this week between injuries and zigging and zagging and ads and drops and yada yada. But otherwise, I didn't take too many big hits. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Cortland Sutton was the biggest beatdown. Outside of my DFS lineup last week, my tournament lineup, I had Paris Campbell in there. Looked like he was poised to have a monster game, and then he messed up his PCL and MCL. I'm sure you broke that down with Mr. Matty Big Chest, and it was tough. It was a tough week of injuries across the board, and we're going to talk about some of that. We're going to talk about a couple other things, but we have a lot of news and things to cover with you before we get into the big bets, the DFS, the recap, the whole shebang. This coming week, we are going to have the Devi War Zone. That's right. For those of you that play Dynasty and play Devi, Kane, Jerry, Shane, and myself, I'm going to take the spot of Josh, Mr. Vacation. I'm going to take his spot, and we're going to jump in, and we're going to cover the first weekend of the SEC. We're going to talk about the Big Ten coming back, and we're going to cover what we think you need to know from a player perspective to get you ready for your 2021 rookie draft. Are picks worth, hunting down? Are they worth trading? What are we doing with picks? Who's on our radar? Just a quick, hour and 15 of what's going on in the world of NCAA football and how that helps you. And then yesterday on the Dynasty War Zone, both me and Jerry, we broke down your Dynasty ABCs. Dr. Kyle, do you know what ABC stands for?
Anything but clothes.
It depends on what kind of situation you're in. As it relates to ABCs, man, you can relate this to a lot of things in life. It's always be cool. There are so many people right now freaking out and losing their mind. And the Dynasty War Zone, man, people are loving the solid 100% wall-to-wall Dynasty coverage. That's the point of doing the big bet. That's the point of doing the Devi War Zone, is to free up the Dynasty War Zone to being just Dynasty content. And it's a lot of good stuff. And we talked about strategies for players like Saquon Barkley. We talked about Michael Thomas. There's a few other big names. Players we're looking to dump off, players we're looking to acquire. If you're a Dynasty player or a fantasy player of any stature and standing, make sure you're checking that out. And then YouTube. Hey, Dr. Kyle, do you know that we're live on the YouTube right now?
Are we? Hold on. Let me get on YouTube so I can watch us do this.
Well, I thought that's why you had, I noticed that maybe there's a little jealousy because you see my sweet new banner. For those that are watching on the YouTubes, you see my sweet new banner with the Air Force inspired logo, with the military, the Army, fashioned logo. And yeah. you have taken, pen to paper. You have gotten creative. We will work on getting you your very own banner here real soon. My banner guy's a bit tied up, so we're going to get you and Matty Big Chest hooked up with some banners.
That's all right. This gets the point across at least, right?
It's because of the mirroring on the streaming service we're using. It's actually backwards.
So the dumb thing is I wrote it backwards because I thought it was mirrored, but that's not. I am like
you're trying to outsmart the thing for being outsmart. You kids are too smart for your own good. But if you're on YouTube, we are churching this thing up a little bit. We're adding some banners. Maddie is working on some custom backgrounds. The one that you guys did the injury update on the other day was really slick. He's going to help me with my technologically backwards ass get this thing rolling. But the YouTube. So on Monday, Maddie did some waiver wire deep dives in Dynasty Table Talk with Maddie Big Chest. And then on Tuesday, you guys spent a good amount of time covering injuries, which I know was like a part-time job for you at this point, Dr. Kyle.
Yeah, that was 40 minutes. Luckily we both had the time in our day, and it was good. Like we had only planned on talking for 15 or 20, but Maddie had some great takes as I threw the injury implications at him, and he threw the dynasty and free agent acquisition spin based on that. So it was great. There's going to be more of it every week.
And I love it. I love the logo that he's got with the Band-Aid going on. It's pretty cool. And then on Tuesday night, Jerry and I go live on YouTube with the Dynasty Warzone. Wednesdays, here we are talking about the fabulous big bets, a little DFS. And then on Thursday or Friday, you'll jump on with another injury update once you get more practice reports, news, things of that nature. On Saturdays, when I have the time, I've been doing a few Dynasty minutes with Memphis. And you wouldn't miss one damn bit of any of that if you just go over to YouTube, subscribe to the Dynasty Warzone channel, and turn notifications on. You won't miss an injury update. You won't miss a show. And if you're not in the mood, just close the notification, go on about your day. But if you're in the mood and you want to check it out, that's what the YouTube's for. Another thing, quick side note, on the Dynasty Happy Hour feed, there will be a new contractor this coming Friday. So search in your podcast queue, same thing you're listening to this. I'm jumping on with Dustin, and we are going to break down his roster. So we are going to cover a lot of sponsors and people that are keeping us on the air for free, for all of you fine people. But if you're not into our sponsors or you're not able to support our sponsors, we dig it the most. Hey, Kyle, what's the freest way to help us?
Can you just go rate and review us, please?
A simple 5-star.
Simple 5-star.
A simple 5-star. It really, you think about this, we're putting out 2 podcasts a week. We're doing the YouTube stuff. Hey, you know what? If you want to, buy some of the merchandise we're going to talk about here in a few, cool beans. You look really sharp in a Dynasty Warzone t-shirt. But you know what? If you want to go simple, you want to go freest, man, hit pause on this podcast wherever you're playing, as long as you're not driving a vehicle, operating farm machinery, or any kind of heavy machinery. Leave us a 5-star. And if you're a fantasy football player, you want a trade covered? Boom. Put the trade in the comment section of the review, and Jerry and I will cover it on next week's Dynasty Warzone. If you're not into social media and you have a question, cool. Email me. It's real simple. dynastywarzone@gmail.com. Boom. And same with the Instagram, same with the Twitter, at Dynasty Warzone on Instagram and Twitter. I've got to get better at posting more pics. You know what I could post pics of there, Dr. Kyle?
What, maybe us in some hate brand Quadzilla shorts, some schmediums?
Maybe. But for this particular one, I was going to talk about our friends over at Veridian Global. Now, Veridian is spelled Veridian global.com. And this is the official apparel provider of the Dynasty Warzone. There are t-shirts. No, everyone likes a good t-shirt. Jerry had one on the other day. It actually made Jerry look athletic. Now, normally athletics would make Jerry look athletic, but Jerry doesn't do athletics. Jerry looks athletic in his Dynasty Happy Hour contractor shirt, also brought to you by the homies over at Veridian Global. Their hoodies, falls upon us. You live in New York. Temperature starting to drop over there?
Yes, sir. I had to bike in a hoodie the other day, so I'm ready. I need mine.
Had the bike in a hoodie. There's tank tops for your inner gym bro. You're a gym bro. Sun's out, guns out. Doesn't say it to be super warm. You got to get them jacks out there looking good, right?
Yeah, I got some farmer stand to take care of too. So
clean that up before you go into winter looking like a hobo. And, in conjunction with this, and Maddie Big Chest, our graphics guy, these guys have nailed this. There's tons of different styles. There's the Air Force inspired logo. There's an old school logo you might recognize that was an inspiration. And if you're listening to this on the YouTube on Wednesday night, there is a special where if you buy a hoodie, you get a t-shirt for half off. No codes, no nothing to remember. Just go to Veridian Global, buy a DWZ hoodie, get yourself a t-shirt. Boom. If you don't make that by 11:59 on Wednesday, the 23rd, we are going to have some other specials coming up along with our homies over at the GOAT District Podcast. Stick around for that on Thursday. Just follow me on Twitter or Instagram at DWZ Memphis, or you can follow the good doctor at
DWZ_Dr. PT.
And remember, at Veridian Global, you can always get free shipping on orders of $75 or more. You don't have to just shop the Dynasty Warzone. There's the GOAT District. There's the Dynasty Happy Hour. They have cool non-podcast affiliated shirts. My personal favorite is I Have Chubb. No, not like that. I meant like I have Chubb, like as a Nick Chubb T-shirt. These things are the premium athletic cut, not your old school dad's pocket tee scratching you up. No, these are legit, just like our big bets. Dr. Kyle, are you ready to talk about some big bets from week 2?
I got some tough pills to swallow, but I think overall I'm ready to do it. Let's go.
All right, man. Let's talk about your big bet. What was your big bet from week 2? And let's have a quick recap.
My big bet was Giants plus 5.5. And now, if you watch this game, you were probably holding your breath for most of it because the Bears got out early. But the Giants covered. But I did put money on the money line too. They were close. My brother, the Giants fan, informed me that there was a questionable offensive pass interference call at the end of that game. But I'm taking my second big bet W of the week or of the year.
And there was no preseason, so yes, that would be for the year. And I was sweating that one with you. Now, I didn't put any money down on it. I wanted to. Anyone who listens to the normal Dynasty Warzone show or have heard me on podcast, you know what a fan of Daniel Jones I am. And one of the first handicaps I look at with quarterback with football games is the quarterback matchup. And that was the one spot where I thought New York clearly had the advantage. I didn't know about coaching. I'm not sure on Matt Nagy, but I'm not sure on Joe Judge either. You look at talent, both teams have good talent on the offensive side of the ball, whether it's Allen Robinson on one side or Darius Slayton on the other. Obviously, the Giants lost Saquon early in that game, but they managed to keep it close, and I'm really proud of you because you have us 3-1 on our fabulous big bets for the season. I don't want to sit here and complain and sound like a whiny little baby because you live by the sword, you die by the sword. I'm going to talk about some of the other bets that I had here in a couple of minutes. But if you watched the San Francisco 49ers and the New York Jets game, took a horrible beat. Now I'm sweating that one. It's the last series of the game. The line is within 5. I had it at 42.5, and the Jets are just trying to score, and that Sam Darnold jailbreak run off to the left, throws it across his body, and splits 2 defenders on the second to last play of the game, that caused the total to go to 44. I felt like I knew I was up Schitt's Creek, not the comedy that dominated the Emmys on Sunday. I'm talking about actual Schitt's Creek when the very first offensive play of the game for the Niners was like an 80-some-odd yard touchdown. I knew I was uphill from that point on, but I feel like my process was correct. Now, I know a lot of people will tell you, process over results. The results matter because we're gambling with money.
Yeah.
And I was down a unit on that, but that one was a tough pill to swallow. I'll go ahead and roll into some of my other bets. I did have Cincinnati plus 5.5 at Cleveland on Thursday night, and you live by the sword, you die by the sword. I had that game have a backdoor cover. That late last-minute touchdown from Joe Burrow to Tyler Boyd was enough for me to get that backdoor cover. So those 2 games, I bet the same amount on both. So I just lost the juice, which is still a negative. So wasn't a huge fan. But that was one of my personal bets from last week. What about yours? What was one of your bets you want to talk about?
So I got in on that Bengals too. With some of my buddies, we're always talking in a group chat about fantasy, and my buddy I got his bonus. So Drew, thank you for signing up at mybookie.ag. I got your bonus today. But I got in on Bengals plus 6. My other victories were 49ers -7, and I was about even going into Sunday night, and I looked at that Seahawks Patriots line, and I was like, give me the Seahawks -4.5. And I'm glad I didn't stay up to watch it, because from what I hear, I would have not enjoyed watching that one until there was 0.0 seconds, Blutarski seconds left on the clock.
0.0. Yeah, that was a fun game to watch. I watched it too now. And for my real job, I get up at about 5:30 in the morning, so I was already tired. I fell asleep somewhere in the third quarter, and I woke up to watch literally the last minute and a half of the game. I didn't have any money on it. I did not make any wagers on that. Now, other wagers that I had last week, I did bet Baker on my prop bet. I bet Baker under 239.5 passing yards. That one looked a little bit sketchy until they had that one drive where they literally drove down the length of the field, and they did it entirely with the run. So that was a good one. I always love betting against Baker, and if I can bet against Baker and get paid, I'm in there. Then there was the story. We've been telling this one since, I think, week one, the promotion on DraftKings where they were giving away a $100 free bet. And I took the early look-ahead line, and I took Atlanta +7. The game closed at Atlanta +3. I tried to middle that game. I tried to middle it. So I knew that I had the best of it with Atlanta, but I wanted to hedge my bet, so I threw a couple of bucks down on Dallas with giving up the 3. And on that last play where they got the onside kick, had they had like a jailbreak touchdown, I would have gotten both. I would have gotten both because I was in that corridor to where had Dallas won by 4, 5, 6, 4, 5 or 6, I would have won both bets because Dallas would have covered the 3, and Atlanta would have covered the 7, and I would have gotten both bets. So because of that, I ended up pushing, but I actually made money. I didn't bet $100 on the other side. I left myself because it was a free bet. It was basically a gift or a promotion with sign up. I figured, hey, at least if I win the other bet, that's cash in my pocket. So, I played the odds, and I did okay. And then my last bet, I wanted to go against Squaresville. I wanted to go against the Arizona Cardinals. I bet against them to start the season. I thought, surely to God, they, with this pass rush, the Washington football team and a tenured defensive coach like Ron Rivera, I don't think they'll beat the Cardinals, but I really had that game in my mind. I had it handicapped to like 27-24. And really, I was one Washington score from being where I thought it was. I got it. Like I said, I got closing line value at 7.5. And again, they were one score. The Redskins offense looked a little anemic the first half. They came on okay. My man Terry McLaurin had a fantastic back half of the day. But those were mine. Is there anything in mine that stood out for you as bad process or anything that you could help me be better, Dr. Kyle?
I mean, you're the vet here. I like your process of talking about actually your process is what got me on the Seahawks -4.5 that you talked about last week, talking about potential game script. And it didn't necessarily go how you went, but I was like, okay, we don't know if Cam can really throw the ball yet. So at least if the Seahawks are down, the Seahawks can win. And if the Seahawks are up, they're gonna stay up. So thinking about things like that, but otherwise, I think the process was there. I think we're just gonna, like we've talked about, like being 54%, 55%. That's where it's at. And 3 or 4 or 5 bets a week, we're gonna have to look at the season end total to really look like champions. But I think we're on it.
Well, for me personally, I am currently 5-4-1 with all of my bets, 1-1 on the big bet, and I think we can do better, Dr. Kyle. I think we're just getting warmed up. From what I've read in the podcast that I listened to, it sounds like a lot of people in Vegas took a bath. A lot of people did not do well this past weekend. Things did not quite go as well as expected. So let's head over and let's get into our week 2 games we like, games we're leaning towards, and then we'll jump into our big bets. Now, this segment is brought to our friends. You've already mentioned them, MyBookie.ag. Now, MyBookie.ag is the official odds provider of the Fabulous Big Bet. I've got that window open on my computer right now. I'm watching the lines move, and I love it. It makes it very easy. It's a very clean on the desktop. But most importantly, guys, how often are we actually on computers? I mean, unless you're at work or unless you're doing a podcast like me, more often than not, you're on your device, and the device is really, really clean, easy to use. So what are you going to do? You're going to go over to mybookie.ag and you're going to sign up. Where are you going to sign up? Just in the link of this, in the show description of this podcast, there is a link that will take you right to the sign up page. The promo code DWZ Memphis should be pre-populated when you use that link. It's that easy. It's 2 taps. You tap the show description, you tap the mybookie.ag link, the promo code's in there. You fill out your deposit. If you go up to $1,000, if you go up to $1,000, they'll match you with another $1,000, and that's double your deposit. And if you're already on DraftKings, like I am, if you're already on FanDuel, like I am, if you're already on MGM, William Hill, all those electronic apps, it's always good to have more. I'm always scouring, looking for the best possible line. Now, I always find the best possible line to be mybookie.ag. Once in a blue moon, it may not be, but that's where I'm betting. And Dr. Kyle, you recently got yourself squared away at MyBookie. How's it treating you?
I'm up 100.
Nice.
It's a C-no. I'll take it.
Nice. Now, how many? No, this is what I love about gambling. This is what I absolutely love about gambling is that we can have a sponsor that we're literally giving you advice to go take our sponsor's money. So we're trying to make you sharp. Normally, in the day there used to be false advertising and bait and switch. This is literally where if Dr. Kyle and I do what we're supposed to do, you're literally going to take money out of our sponsors' pockets. Now, normally it's our job as our sponsor, because we're advertising their product, to take money out of their pockets. But we're trying to do that, and we're trying to help you do that too. It's a win-win. Go over to mybookie.ag, use the link in the show description, get yourself dialed in, up to $1,000 in sign-up bonus, and let's make some big bets. Dr. Kyle, save your big bet for the end. I've got to work with you on your presentation skills, because you want to go right into it. A little foreplay. Let's go with something that you're leaning toward. What's a line that's caught your eye that maybe you'll bet as we get closer to game day?
So it's sort of a take on – so last week, or maybe even 2 weeks ago, my look ahead was for the New Orleans Raiders game this Monday night. Early it looked like the Saints were going to be giving up 4.5, and that looked great. I think that was pre-Michael Thomas injury or pre-knowing him out. But as that game approached, I didn't like it. I don't think the Saints are who we thought they were. And so the Packers right now are looking a hell of a lot better. And their line right now is they're getting 3. Yes, they're going to be in the Dome in New Orleans. But guys, we're without fans. This is hardly home field advantage year. So I really like Packers +3 right now. I don't know how much that line will move, so I might try and get it at +3. If it moved to +3.5, that would be a bit sweeter. But what do you think about that?
I actually like it. There's the one thing, part of betting on games, especially if you're betting like Dr. Kyle and myself, if you're betting within your means, and it's just a way to make the fun, because I found even having a few dollars on the game makes the games that much more fun. It reminds you that even though your fantasy players are getting hurt left, right, and center, that if you get this game, if your handicap is correct and you win, it makes every game. What would be the worst game possible in the NFL right now? Do you have any guesses, Dr. Kyle?
The worst game, like to watch? Oh, Jets.
Yeah.
Jets Giants. Jets Giants. God damn. New York, represent yourself better. But they're in New Jersey, the armpit of I'll call New Jersey the armpit of the United States. Proudly.
Cleveland said, "Hold my beer." But no, I'm right there with you. But you could be watching that game, and if you got $20 on it, $15 on it, you're in. I watched the Cleveland Cincinnati game last week, and I had I had a small wager on Baker under his passing yardage, and I had a little something on Cincinnati. And I literally watched every single play up to the end of the game. And that's probably truly why I fell asleep on Sunday night during the Seattle game. I'd been up all day. I had a lot going on Sunday. I didn't have a wager on that particular game. I wanted it at Seattle at 4.5. I couldn't find that value, so I just didn't make a bet. I don't force the bets. And I laid down and I fell asleep. But that Thursday night game, knowing that I had to be up at 5:30 in the morning, didn't really give a rat's ass. I was up till 11:35, and then I'm kind of pumped because I got that backdoor cover. I thought, well, shit. Okay, I got the Baker one in, but I'm going to wind up losing the side. And there it was. So that's the fun. And I'm going to make a really ugly game this weekend. I'm going to make it a lot of fun. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I'm going to your neck of the woods. I'm going to the armpit of the East Coast. We're going to stick with that. We're going to go to the armpit of the East Coast. We're going to go to the Meadowlands in New Jersey. And I am going to take the New York Football Giants plus 4.5 against the San Francisco 49ers. I cannot believe the line is the Giants are getting 4.5. Now, normally when you lose your quarterback, okay, I could see maybe this line with a healthy Jimmy GQ, maybe this line is Giants plus 7 or plus 7.5. Jimmy GQ, he's never going to be confused with Russell Wilson, but he's a serviceable, quarterback and not horrible. So, but he's not. And not only is he not playing, more than likely, and I've heard part of it has to do with the field conditions. They're not going to risk any more of their team to injury. So no Raheem Mostert, who's struggling with a knee strain. No George Kittle. They're not going to risk George Kittle on that Metro Life or Life Metro field. Thank you, MetLife Stadium. I mean, it's really going to be Nick Mullins, Jordan Reed, Brandon Ayuk, and Jerick McKinnon and Jeff Wilson. Okay, then look on the other side. No Saquon Barkley. They're going to try to get some mileage out of Dion Lewis and Devonta Freeman. They lost Sterling Shepard. He's on the IR with a toe injury. That leaves a somewhat healthy Golden Tate, who missed a game already due to a hammy, and then Darius Slayton. Evan Ingram's playing with butterfingers right now. That offensive line is trash. It's literally a sieve. And then you might think, okay, well, what about San Francisco's defense? I don't know. They lost one of the best pass rushers in the NFL in Nick Bosa to an ACL. They lost Solomon Thomas. Their best corner, Richard Sherman, is on IR, can't come back until next week. I mean, this is two beat-up teams, and on top of all that, the Giants have slept in their own bed for the last 7 days because they were at home last weekend, and the Niners have been basically creating a mini bubble down in West Virginia to stay on the East Coast so that they can go up. I mean, this does not feel like a game where the Giants are going to get blown out. The Giants, even though they've not, looked impressive from an overall standpoint, this is a team that I feel like has a lot of grit to it. They didn't get boat raced by the Steelers when they easily could have. Actually, had Daniel Jones not thrown that second interception in the Steelers game, that game could have been a lot different. Then you just mentioned, when they played the Bears, and
right down to the last drive.
Right down to the last drive.
Yeah, so, could have gone either way.
So I think this is a field goal game. I'm getting 4.5, and I could see the Giants winning this game outright. So because of that, because of all the injuries on both sides, but because the Giants are at home against a backup quarterback, I'm going to take the Giants plus 4.5. That's my first game that I like this week, and I've already got that one bet, by the way. So what do you think, and then what's your next one there, Dr. Kyle?
I love it. I'll tell you what, I was scrolling through, and that one, as a Cowboys fan and how close it was last week, I was like, maybe I just need to stay away from the Giants trying to cover again this week. But you bring up so many good points. The West Coast playing on the East Coast, sleeping in West Virginia. I can't imagine that's going well. They're probably hanging out in some bathtub that was just used to make moonshine. But I also money line, great one to put the money line on, because that's probably plus 200 to 20 maybe. So I think I'll probably jump in on that one.
The Giants are plus 175 on the money line.
Okay.
So you may wait and see. Again, if you like it now, you may love it on Sunday.
Yeah. Anyway, my next one, and I don't know if I feel as good about it now as I did when I don't want to say I panic texted you, but I did a look ahead last week to see what the Eagles Bengals line was for week 3, and the Eagles were only giving up 5.5. Now, I also thought the Eagles were going to take the Rams this week in a pick 'em, and they did not. And now Rager is out, but I'm still going to hold strong. I think the Eagles, with their backs against the wall at 0-2, I think they're going to get their shit together. And I think they're going to lean on Miles Sanders. I think Carson Wentz is going to lean on the tight ends. Hopefully they can protect Wentz against, we saw that Bengals defensive line do nothing against the Browns. And I think that's the type of matchup that the Eagles are going to need to get Carson Wentz going, to get the ball downfield to Deshaun Jackson. And Eagles -5.5 against Joe Burrow and his Bengals this week.
Yeah, I got you down on that. I don't ever want to be the show that says, well, hey, we got it down on this. It doesn't really matter what we got down at. What matters is what the current line is and how we can help you. So it's actually at 5.5. So it's moved. It's moved a little bit, not in your favor. FYI, we can talk about how to correct that off of the air. Mm-hmm. But no, man, I don't like it. My second lean is I got beat by him last week. And I'm going to go right back to them. I'm going to take the Washington football team at the Fighting Baker Mayfields. When I bet it yesterday, it was 7.5. Now it's 7. That's my comfort level here. Is Washington +7? Would love to see you find it at 7.5 at Cleveland. Now I do know that Cleveland has had the 9 or 10 days rest. I completely get that. I know Washington has just traveled to the West Coast and back, but do you know what gives Baker Mayfield's fits, Dr. Kyle?
What?
Pressure. And you know who's got one of the nastiest fronts in the NFL?
Oh, Ron Rivera and his Redskins.
Football team, sir. Football. Buddy, I'm not expecting miracles. I know that we are working on this as a group, and we will get there. But anyway, the Washington football team in rushing yards for the year, they have only given up 217 rushing yards, and that includes a pretty big game against Kyler and Kenyon Drake. And I think this is going to be a slow, grind them out game, and I really see Ron Rivera bringing the pressure on Baker. The over is 45. I mean, I could see a correlated parlay where if you like the underdog, you would go with the under. Both teams could run the ball a lot. That is just over, 6 touchdowns and a field goal. Feels like a lot of points for these two offenses. I don't think Cleveland's going to hang another 35 on this team because they're not playing the Bengals' putrid defense. They're playing a pretty good one. I really like the half. I really see this game kind of being in that 21-24, so I think the over-under is fair. But I think 7, and if you can get it at 7.5, which is very possible, by the way. Cleveland's a very public team. Baker is a very public player. And as the money continues to come in, potentially on Cleveland, public money on Cleveland could drive this number back to 7.5, maybe even 8. But you also have to be careful if sharp money starts coming in on Washington, because that would push the number down. So I use pregame.com. It will tell you how many of the ticket percentage and how much of the money percentage is on which team by game. It's free. Again, the player, not player profile, the dream preview. I'm losing my mind. So what do you think about
RJ Bell? RJ Bell.
Yeah, RJ Bell. Pregame. Son of a bitch. Pregame.com. It's a great free website. I use it a ton. And I mean, they do have some paywalls and some windows, but they have a lot of great stuff at pregame.com. The podcast is called The Dream Preview. What do you think about my second bet? And then you may roll right into your big bet of the weekend.
I love it. That one I was very close to taking, but so I didn't touch the spread on that. But I haven't dabbled in the over-unders the first week or two, not knowing what this weird preseason was going to do to the scores. I know they talked about that last year where there was a lockout. There were a lot of overs hit in the first couple of weeks, but I wanted to dip my toes in it and trying to figure out or use your process that you talked about last week. I like the under 45 with this game, knowing that Washington is probably going to bring the pressure on Baker. I think both teams are going to try and keep the ball on the ground and try and minimize mistakes. And I do see that, 24-21 seems like the ceiling of this game. Really could see like a 2013, 2017, some 21-15, something stupid like that. So yeah, I'm on board with that. And if I'm going to take it right into my big bet, I looked at this, I think first thing Monday morning or maybe Tuesday morning. The Titans were only giving up 2.5 points to the atrocious Minnesota Vikings. And I don't know how. If there's a process in there that you could fill me in on as to why that line is that close, I am happy to be enlightened. But to me, Titans -2.5 against the Vikings feel like a smash bet.
I actually bet that myself on a look ahead. I like that game. It's now currently up to 3. So the reason why it stays so close is, one, the game is in Minnesota. I don't know what the fan situation in Minnesota is. I can tell you that the professional bookmakers and the professional bettors, because those guys are against each other, the bookies and the bettors, but they have been giving the COVID home field advantage 1.5 to 2 versus its normal 3 to 3.5.
Right.
So they feel like that Tennessee's about 6 points, 6 points better than the Vikings. And I tell you what, the Vikings look like hell. I do like this number. Like I said, I've already bet it as well. Even if it's a field goal game, I think Tennessee wins, because if Tennessee gets behind Minnesota a little bit, they've got the firepower to come back. We saw Ryan Tannehill. I think it was 4 touchdowns last week, 4 passing touchdown games. And Tennessee has the running game firepower that if they get ahead, similar to what the Colts did to Minnesota last week, they get ahead and they just bowling ball you to death with Derrick Henry. So I see if Minnesota gets ahead, that Tennessee comes back. And I see if Tennessee gets ahead, I don't see Minnesota able to come back. I see the ground and pound. And so I like that one. I've already bet that one as well. I had a lot of different ways I wanted to go with this big bet. I've really been sticking to totals. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go, it's a big number. It's a big number, and I'm going over Dallas Cowboys at the Seattle Seahawks, over 56 points. Now that seems like a lot, but when you look that last week, the Seattle Seahawks and the Patriots had 65. And I don't think the Patriots offense, although I was impressed by Cam Newton in the offense, I was impressed by that offense, but the Patriots offense is not as good as Dallas's. And the Patriots defense is significantly better than Dallas's. Seattle is scoring 36.5 points a game. If Seattle can just hold their average of 36 points a game, which is a lot, which is a shit pile. That's a technical term. That's an actual unit of measurement. But if they can just hold that, 4 to 5 touchdowns out of them, and Dallas's offense is no joke. It feels like a huge number because it is a huge number. I'm going to go over. Just feels like offense all day long. Kyle, am I crazy? Am I laying way too big of a number here? It makes me nervous, but if I got to go with what the numbers tell me.
I like it. I mean, even just from an entertainment perspective, you're going to go watch Dak Prescott and Russell Wilson, 2 of the top young quarterbacks in the league. Even from a fantasy perspective, like why not put money on the over? Like rooting for the under in a game like that would be like pulling teeth. I like it, and maybe that'll help you feel better about that over under in the Atlanta game last week. But yeah, the Cowboys defense is atrocious, and they have figured out how to spread the ball around. And speaking of shit pile, I've seen that unit of measurement from Jurassic Park 1.
Well, there you go. Thank you. All right. Well, that's our big bets and our likes and leans for the week. We're going to jump over, cover a little DFS before we get out of here. But this is our final segment, and the DFS segment is brought to you again. Kyle alluded to them earlier. That's the guys over at Hate Brand Goods. This is my favorite athletic apparel brand. I do like the t-shirts, but I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't talk about the bottoms. I'm a big guy. I like to work out. I have big quads and hamstrings, and this is designed for the athletic person. They have women's gear. I've not done a good enough job promoting their women's line. They have a full women's line of apparel. They have a men's line of apparel. And we talked about it getting to be fall earlier. Dude, the joggers. You got to get hooked up with the joggers. The outfit of the fall is the new Dynasty Warzone hoodie with some hate brand joggers, and you will look fashionable and ready to go. Now, Dr. Kyle, I know you finally, at my request, you hooked yourself up with some Goat Thunder, some Tropical Thunder shorts. What did you think as a fellow gym guy?
I haven't gotten them yet. Otherwise, I would have figured out how to rig up my laptop, and still be doing squats in them to this minute, 41 minutes into the live stream.
I know what we're doing next week. It must be something with the East Coast, but I do know they are stationed or based out of St. Louis, and that's why the shirt I'm wearing says 949 Powerlifting, and that's their home area code. And I got mine on Monday, and I wore them to the gym on Tuesday. My wife said those are the ugliest things I've ever seen, and I was like, exactly.
That's how you know they were the best purchase.
But I'm telling you, they are just they look great. Don't let anyone fool you. Head over to the website. The link to the Hate Brand website also in the show description. So hit pause. You can go check that out. If you see something you like I said, I definitely recommend the joggers. You can shop by size. You can shop by collection. You can shop by men's, women's, and maybe you're not into athletic apparel. Maybe you want to let the world know what you're about, because they have some of the best drinkware in the game today. They have the world famous Kick Today in the Dick coffee mug and protein shaker. They also have that's how I live my life. You know, if you're familiar, you're filled words, easy for me to say, this rented tongues do back. If you go to The Hate on YouTube, that's thehvii.com. I started sending some videos to my buddy, Dr. Kyle, where Matt, the owner of Hate Brand, was doing a garage gym review with Stone Cold Steve Austin. But he's just a really interesting guy. And I think a lot of people on this podcast would relate to this guy. He's entrepreneurial. He is open-minded, progressive, just a really interesting guy. And when you support him, you're supporting the Fabulous Big Bet and the show. So head over there, check out their goods. And if you decide to purchase anything in the promo field, put the code MEMPHIS, MEMPHIS. Now, Dr. Kyle, let's talk about some DFS. How was your DFS week last week?
Atrocious. I was a bit all in on Daniel Jones. He was probably not the best bet. He did get me my prop bet over. I'll throw my L's out first, but Daniel Jones was an L. Preston Williams was an L. OJ Howard. Mark Andrews was my chalk tight end after seeing what Kelsey did to that Texans defense, and the Ravens just never threw the ball. And then Chiefs, but Gibson hit pay dirt. Mostert, how long did he even play that game? And he paid off. Miles Sanders looked good, and then CeeDee Lamb. Like, I'm just going to keep throwing CeeDee Lamb in every week until they price him right. Like, he's still cheaper than Michael Gallup. So just keep throwing him in there.
It's weird that Dallas's best wide receiver. That's right. Write that shit down already. And that was one of my bold predictions. If you listen to the Dynasty Warzone Bold Prediction podcast, I said that CeeDee Lamb would score the most fantasy points in Dallas on the season. I feel like that's a lock. I don't know if it is yet. It'd be between him and Amari, because Gallup has struggled. Anybody else you want to bring up before I cover my week that was, and then we'll hear about your guys for this week?
Jordan Reed. Jordan Reed was my tight end. I probably went. Yeah. And he was dirt cheap, and so that allowed me to pony up a bit more at the other positions. I just never ponied up at quarterback when there were guys like Dak, Matt Ryan, Jared Goff, Russell Wilson, those guys, Cam Newton, all those guys went off. So Daniel Jones, putrid, 260 or 250 yards and a touchdown, just didn't get the job done.
Yeah, I had a pretty good week. 2 weeks, 2 min cashes. So, I mean, I guess I'll take my handful of bucks and move on. I had big hits on Matt Ryan, Ridley, and Tyler
Mm.
Higbee. You're going to find this year that there are going to be clear, distinct Tyler Higbee games and Cooper Kupp games. Now, I never would have in a bajillion years thought Tyler Higbee was going to catch 3 touchdowns. But because of him, the Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley stack, I was able to get a min cash. I missed badly on Mike Williams. Now I am going to take a partial L on this because I think the process was okay. I don't think it was great, but he had a huge 20% target share in game 1, and I was really expecting Tyrod Taylor to be the quarterback, not Justin Herbert. So I don't know that I would have made that same decision without any real intel. Derrick Henry just had some, and this is the curse of Derrick Henry. If you have Derrick Henry in a game, and I thought this was going to be a positive game script game. On top of that, Derrick Henry usually kicks the Jaguars. Talk about kicking today in the dick. If kicking today in the dick was a thing, Derrick Henry does it to the Jaguars normally on a consistent basis. And then Paris Campbell got hurt. He was my cheap deep dive guy that I really thought was going to pay big dividends. So, Dr. Kyle, talk about some guys that you're looking at this week. We're getting some min cashes. We're making some great one-off calls. What's going to be a player or two that's going to help us win $1 million this week?
So, if obvious plays aside, obviously Dak Prescott and Russell Wilson, if you can get them into your lineup, Matt Ryan, if you can get them into your lineup. But it's looking like Justin Herbert is going to be starting again this week. Yeah. So here's what happened with Tyrod Taylor. Quick aside, he was receiving some sort of cortisone injection. Something was going on with his ribs, and it sounds like the MD punctured his lung. So he's probably not going this week. And Herbert had a rushing touchdown. He was making big throws. He was moving with his feet, and he's a mere 5,800. It looks like on DraftKings. I also don't hate Trubisky this week going into I don't know who's home, but they're playing against Atlanta, and that's got a big over under. I'm probably not going to be putting Trubisky in my lineup too much. And then, moving on, I think I'm going to be squeezing a bit of Chase Edmonds into my lineup in some tournaments this week. That Detroit defense, Jerry, Maddie, sorry, atrocious. They cannot do anything to stop the run. Perhaps this is the week where Drake looks like the second round redraft guy that people want him to be. But I think Chase Edmonds could definitely pay off, especially if they get him involved in that passing game. Especially like Detroit, if Kenny Golladay is back, that could turn into as much of a shootout as any of these other potential shootouts this week. And then, like I said, CeeDee Lamb's going to continue to find his way into my lineups. Allen Robinson, maybe a Trubisky Allen Robinson stack finally pays off this week. And then Jonathan Taylor, I think I'm going to have him. Jonathan Taylor and Miles Sanders look like the two running backs that I want to pay up for this week. Jonathan Taylor in a positive game script. Wow, neither of us words. Don't try him tonight against the Jets. And then Miles Sanders against that Bengals defense that I think might still be without Geno Atkins, and let Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, your boy, both have a day last Thursday. I know that was a bit of a ramble, but those are my thoughts.
Hey, you kind of you dipped into my head and you stole some of my guys. The lineup that I've got set so far for a tournament, I've got the CeeDee Lamb Dak stack. Now you could just as easily go to the other side of that game and go with the Russell Wilson DK Metcalf stack. The other game you're talking about, the Lions and the
Cardinals. Sorry.
That game has a 55 point over and under. So maybe you want to go with the Kenny Golladay, Matt Stafford stack, or the stack of the century right now is DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray. Not only are they hooking up a bunch, but they're also getting that Kyler rushing floor. But for me, I went with Dak and CD. I'm currently debating between Eckler with young Justin Herbert starting, because Eckler looks so good. I mean, people are so concerned about him and his production, but the guy's like, top 6, 7 in rushing yards. He's starting to see his receiving yards come back. He was well over 100 last week. I'm debating between him against a toothless Carolina Panthers defense and Josh Jacobs. I know people don't love the matchup against the New
Patriots.
England Patriots, but I think he'll have a low ownership rank. And it didn't seem to bother Chris Carson. I am watching the injury report because Jacobs is fighting a hip. He was in and out of the game toward the end. I do have Allen Robinson in this game, and I do have DK Metcalf. I'm going with all the high scores. I think Atlanta will have no problem putting up points against Chicago, which is going to force Chicago to put the ball in the air. Hey, no one else has had trouble putting up points against the Falcons. Why would Mitch and A-Rob be any different? And then you nailed my two running backs. Sanders and Jonathan Taylor. Those are two locks. Until they get on FanDuel, until they get Miles Sanders where he needs to be, up in the 8,000-ish range. If he's getting under 7,500, for me, he's an auto pick. But then you add in, after what we saw last week, what the Browns were able to do to this team. And if you think about it, even from a betting standpoint, if you think about the game script of the game with Philly needs a win badly. They're not in a position because I don't think that the Bengals defense is worth a damn. But I think they're going to want to feature the run. What cured Baker, what cured what ailed them. A good dose of running the ball, play action, bringing everything back down. There's not this huge sense that Wentz has to win the game. And you're going to see a steady dose of Miles Sanders his second week back. And then Jonathan Taylor. Man, the Colts are going to get up. They should get up pretty easy on the Jets. And we just saw what the combinations of Jerick McKinnon and Raheem Mostert and the running backs in San Francisco did against this Jets defense. Now I get one of the worst offensive lines in football with the Jets, and now I get one of the best with the Colts, and I get a superior running back. Slam dunk, automatic. And I am going back to the Tyler Higbee. Well, the Bills are 24th against the tight end. They have a lot. I'm telling you, I have no problem in any format if guys are playing Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee, because the Bills are really good with Tre'Davious White. They'll have Robert Woods matched up with him more than likely, which means that's going to free up Tyler Higbee and Cooper Kupp to work over the middle of the field. And I didn't think Cooper Kupp was a value compared to what I got DK and Robinson and CeeDee Lamb at. So I left him off. Man, I think that game, out of all the ones with a good size over under, I could really see that Bills and Rams game going over the 47. 47 feels low for the way those two teams have been scoring the football. But you tell me before we take this one in there, Dr. Kyle.
Yeah, no, I mean, then the Dolphins offense more or less just had their way against the Bills defense.
28 points.
Yeah. And speaking of which, did you see Mike Gesicki's one-handed catch over the middle in that game?
Dude, Mike Gesicki is finally breaking out. I don't think people realize that he lined up in the slot like so far for the season. 79, I think that's the stat correctly. He's lined up in the slot 79% of times. He's lined up out wide. They're basically treating him like the wide receiver too. That's it. That's if you consider a moderately healthy Devontae Parker, the wide receiver one. They're basically, if you go back, so Chan Gailey is the offensive coordinator in Miami. And if you go back to his time in most recently with the Jets, I think it was either 15-16 or 16-17. But if you go look at the year where they had Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker, that really feels like what they want to do with Mike Gesicki and Devontae Parker. So you hit on one for me. We have one more thing to give these people. We owe them a player prop. We've found it easier to give them a Thursday night player prop. Now, last week I had Baker under 239.5, lay 110. What do you have this week? And I know you have a guy with a pretty sweet mustache.
I am all in on Minshew over, and now, of course, I'm going to forget what the over/under is, but I think it's
240.
Yeah,
240.5.
Yeah, and he just laid 330 on Tennessee last week. This game tomorrow night is tomorrow night. Well, if you're listening tonight, this could be a fun. Talk about two teams who you have no real expectations for the football year. But from a fantasy perspective and from a betting perspective, I think I wanted to bet the over on this. I might. We'll see what it looks like tomorrow before the game. But, I think Minshew is going to hit the over there, even if DJ Chark doesn't play. What do you got?
Now, I gave you first dibs because normally I've been known to be a bit hoggish with the show sheet. Been a little hoggish with the show sheet. I let you have dibs because right now the best player props, because you can get stuff on sites like Monkey Knife Fight and a couple others, but they really feel like kids games, and I don't mean to say that with any disrespect. But you can add them up. You can you can get like an over under. I just want an over under, and the over under on my man Fitzmagic. He dresses up like Conor McGregor. Is 270.5 passing yards in this game. I went back and did a little research. So if you go back to week 7 of last year, he played 10 games from that point on. Mm-hmm. And he's played 2 games this year. So in those 12 games, he has went over this number 8 times. So this is a number he's went over more often than not. I am not concerned about these games. I mean, these teams that they have played 2 games each, and so those 4 games, the over has been hit in 3 of the 4. The only one that didn't was Miami and New England, and had Miami not had that last second interception in the end zone, that one would have hit the over, and I would have got the backdoor cover, but that's neither here nor there. It's not like I'm bitter. It's nothing like that. Nothing like that, Dr. Kyle. It's not that I'm bitter, but I do believe that these 2 teams will not have any problem scoring on one another. And I would definitely feel better if DJ Chark played and Byron Jones does not. It looks like Byron Jones more than likely going to be out. I'm not too concerned about DJ Chark unless he was to have like some kind of – you're the doctor. What about a chest and back injury would make him sit?
That's a good question. I mean, chest, it could be ribs. It could be something cartilage similar to what Cam Akers is dealing with. Maybe that's one for me to dig into after this and maybe hop on. At least throw something in the Patreon. So that's if you want to get some behind the scenes information, join the Patreon. But even look at the weapons without Chark. Like, we wouldn't call them weapons a year ago, but Keelan Cole is looking good. Chris Conley has had games. Laviska Shenault, like the buy-in window for him is probably closing in Dynasty. And then James Robinson, exactly. The man is a jack of all trades in Jack of all Tradesville. That was a bad joke.
Yeah, it was a horrible. You're the mayor of bad jokesville. All right, so I'm going over 270.5 passing yards for the bearded one, for Mr. Fitzmagic. I know I'm going to get an interception in there or 2. Hey, perfect. That's going to force scoring. That's going to need to necessitate the need to get the ball in the air. So there you go. There is our player props. There is our DFS. There's our bets for the week. Dr. Kyle, you and I have another appointment. I see we have some people watching live on the YouTube. If you're so inclined, we're going to end this live stream, and then Dr. Kyle and myself, we're going to jump on with Dan and the boys of the GOAT District for another live stream right here on YouTube. So I'm going to say it on behalf of Dr. Kyle. Please support our sponsors, mybookie.ag, promo code DWZ Memphis, Viridian Global for those sweet, too sweet DWZ shirts and sweatshirts. And then finally, 8 Brand Goods. That's the HVIII.com, and check out the fashion apparel over there. So again, on behalf of Dr. Kyle, I am Memphis. And remember, here at the Big Bet, money won is twice as sweet as money earned. We'll see you here next week. Have a good week 3, guys. Thanks for tuning in. All right, let's go over to Twitter. I'm assuming they would have, yep.
It's right there. I'm going to hit the head real quick.
Yeah, I'm going to, I'm going to message him and say I'll be in a minute. All right, man. Bye-bye.
Yeah, okay, cool.